Hey, this is SJ Talks to Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. I was on the Elder Truth's video, and he was talking about in California, I think it's in California, I believe it was the Elder Truth video, that they're going to start issuing a separate Amber Alert specifically for black children, for missing black children. When I heard that, I was very, very alarmed by it. I mean, it's just very disturbing to me. That's very disturbing to me. I say, you mean to tell me that this country is so racist that we have to have a separate Amber Alert specifically for black children? Because I think it was a couple of weeks ago, this little biracial boy came up missing here in my city. I think he was about 9 years old. He came back. They found him safe and sound. He winded up finding him safe and sound. It turns out, I guess he got upset. I think they said something about he had autism and he got upset and he left. But this baby was gone for a few days. He was gone for a few days, and I was very disturbed at the fact that we did not get an Amber Alert for this baby. We didn't get an Amber Alert. They didn't know whether he had ran away or not. I mean, they don't. He was a missing child. Bottom line, he was a missing child, and he was gone for a few days. I have no idea where this child went for the time that he was gone, and I'm so happy that. And I said a prayer. Everybody a lot of people were praying, and thank God he got returned safe and sound. That's every parent's worst nightmare. But I was very disturbed at the fact that we didn't get an Amber Alert. And I said something about it on Facebook, to my personal Facebook page, too. I said something about it. And I kept checking the news, and the news did not mention, I kept checking our local news, and the news did not mention one time about this child being missing. And I said something about it on Facebook, too. I was very upset behind that. I was very upset by the fact that our local news station did not say anything about this baby being missing. Now, had that been a white child, it would have been all over the news. The news didn't mention it. We didn't get an Amber Alert. And this child was missing for a few days. Little biracial boy. He was missing a few days. Very disturbed. I was very disturbed by that. And we got thousands and thousands of black children missing in this country. And it's like no one even cares. It's like no one cares. It's like when a black child comes up missing, same as a black woman or even a black man that comes up missing, nobody cares. There's over 65,000 black women and children that are missing in this country. And nobody cares. They don't think it's newsworthy enough to even come on the news and announce that a black child is missing. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Most of the times they don't. When this baby was missing, the news didn't even mention it. It didn't even mention the fact that this child was missing, and this child was missing for a few days. You mean to tell me that this country is so racist that we need a separate Amber Alert specifically for black children? They're going to call it Ebony Alert. This is very disturbing. This is very disturbing. It doesn't matter what race the child is. If a child is missing, then that child should instantly go on Amber Alert. It should not matter what race this child is. It should not matter. The race of the child should not matter. And it's really, really sad that we live in a country that prioritizes certain, the white race. Because if it was a Hispanic child, would they have it on the news? It's really sad that we live in a country that one race of people's lives is prioritized and more important than everybody else's lives. And then they cannot understand why we say Black Lives Matter. They have a hard time understanding because our lives, throughout the history of this country, our lives never mattered. When something happens to a Black woman or a Black child, in most cases, I have to come on YouTube to find out about it because it doesn't make mainstream media. Even a Black man, in most cases, it does not make mainstream news. In most cases, I have to go on YouTube to find out about these different cases. They found a Black woman hung in Florida, and they're dismissing it. This channel on YouTube by the name of Indisputable Facts. It's called Indisputable Facts. I was just watching that. I was so scared. I was kind of scared to click on it, but I said I need to stay informed. A Black woman was found hung in Florida, and the police department. I don't know. I'm not sure about the city. The local police department down there is dismissing it as a suicide. Black people don't commit suicide that way, particularly Black women. Black women do not hang themselves. Black women don't commit suicide that way. Females, period, do not commit suicide that way. The police department is dismissing it as a suicide. Because, yeah, Black people are still being hung in this country. Yeah, they're still doing it. And they sweep it under the carpet as a suicide. They say, oh, they committed suicide. And they dismiss it. Because it was a Black woman, they do not care. They do not care, particularly in the state of Florida. A few months ago, and I did a video of it, NAACP issued a travel advisory for Florida because Florida is on some serious racist stuff down there. They own their racist, the racism down there is on 10. As far as I'm concerned, it's in all 50 states, but it's on 10 down there. The fact that you find a Black woman hanging and you dismiss it as suicide, that speaks volumes. And I really, really hope her family really pushes to for them to investigate it. It's just like when the young lady, I don't know if this was in Connecticut. This happened last year. Was dating a white guy, and she turned up unalived. And they didn't. It was in one of them little white towns. The police department did not break their neck to investigate it. He said it was an accident. Same goes for the Black woman that went to the sleepover with a bunch of white women, and she mysteriously turns up unalived. And they try to dismiss that as a suicide as well, or accident. She is at the sleepover with all these white women. So it's things that are happening to Black people. It's things that are happening to our people, and they're trying to dismiss it. They're sweeping it under the carpet as an accident or suicide. We got to wake up, Black people. We got to stop this gender war. We got to stop all this fighting amongst each other. And we need to wake up. We need to wake up to what's going on. They're trying to get rid of us. And they're dismissing it as an accident. They're dismissing it as suicide. When our children come up missing, they don't look for them. black men and women, they don't look for. The mere fact that we have to have a separate Amber Alert for black children speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about the racism in this country. Wake up, black people. We got to stop all this hatred amongst each other, and we need to wake up and smell the coffee and find out what's going on. They're trying to get rid of us. And then they're dismissing it. This young lady, they found down there hung, they're trying to dismiss it as a suicide. We need to wake up. Our people need to wake up. This is what's going on. When I seen that, I was very disturbed. Very disturbed. You know, I got grandchildren. And that in my city, when that baby came up missing, and I sure did say something about it on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, because it was local. I sure did say something about it. The local news stations did not talk about it. I kept checking it. I kept checking the news. They did not talk about it. There was no Amber Alert that came across my phone informing me that this baby was missing. I was going to try to take it upon myself to drive around and see if I could look for the baby myself. But thank God they found the baby safe and sound. But just imagine those few days that he was missing, the horror of the parents. It's every parent's worst nightmare. I know that when my sons were, there were times when my sons were hanging around with their friends and I didn't know where they were at, and I had to go looking for them a few times. I mean, the panic. Unless you have a child, you would not understand the panic that goes through your mind. And I think I'm a worrywart, and I think of the worst case scenarios. The panic and the fear and the anxiety is just on 10 when you can't find your child and you don't know where your child is. The panic that goes through you. It's unbelievable. Unless you have a child, you would not understand. It's scary. It's very scary. So just, this child was missing for a few days. So just imagine the fear and anxiety and everything that the parents, particularly the mother, that was going through, not knowing where her baby was at. And they didn't, the mere fact that they didn't even come across the news and didn't flash and put his picture up there. I didn't see it. I kept checking the news and I didn't see it. And I didn't see any Amber Alerts. It was very disturbing to me. Very disturbing. So let me know if you've heard about that. I think this is in the state of California. They're thinking about issuing a separate Amber Alert for black children. They're going to call it the Ebony Alert. And maybe this needs to be instituted across the country. It's very, very sad that we live in a country where we have to have a separate Amber Alert. My fear is that people will ignore it. When they see Ebony Alert come across their phone, they're going to ignore it. That's my fear, that they will ignore it because it's not a white child. This is the country we living in, people. This is the country that we're living in, black people. Wake up. Wake up. This is the country that we living in. Still a lot of hatred in this country. Still a lot of systematic racism in this country. Get your heads out of the sand. All right. Like, subscribe, and share, notification bell. Until the next video, be blessed.